I'm Kat and I play red. So with the fact that we don't know when we're going to go travelling again, we've decided to do around the world in 80 board games. Well, or something close. So today we're going to be looking at Firenze from Quined games. Firenze translates as Florence. In the game you play the role of Italian master builders in the 12th to 14th century, trying to build towers bigger and better than everyone else. So let's have a look at the game. Each player starts with a player board and a little chip to indicate what colour they are. Depending on the player order, you'll also start with some white tiles. It may be 2, 3, 4 or 5. I'm starting with 2. These tiles start in my storehouse. That is to the side of my board and not on my construction site here on the player board. The player board has a very handy turn guide here, and we have some player aids here. So the first thing we do in a turn is take a card from the board. So let's have a look at the main board. The cards that are available are at the bottom here. Every time a new card comes out, 4 tiles are drawn randomly from the bag and popped onto the card. So I can choose any of the cards on this row, but that comes with a cost. So as my first action, I quite like this mason here, but it's going to cost me 2 bricks as shown here. So what I need to do is put 1 brick here, 1 brick here, and then take the mason complete with the tiles on it. Then everything else will move down the row. A new card will come out and 4 tiles will be added to that. So let's draw some random tiles from the bag. 2, 4. Now, depending on the card, depends what actions I take. There's a little symbol on the top right here that tells you what you need to do. Now this is a person card, so it comes in my hand and I can use it at any point I choose to. On turn 1 it feels like a bit of a waste, so I'm going to pop that into my hand for now. However, you'll notice some cards have a lightning bolt symbol, the universal symbol for immediately. There are also building cards and church cards and endgame point cards, but we'll come on to them later. So the first part of my turn is done. I've taken a card and the tiles that were on it, which was 2 yellow, 1 red and 1 white. Then, second part of my turn, I can choose to exchange 3 tiles from my storehouse for 1 on the board. It's not something I want to do right now, so I'm good. Phase 3 is your building action, which is what this chart on the other side of the player board refers to. I can place anything up to 6 tiles in my construction site. However, it comes at a cost. So I can place 1 or 2 tiles for free. 3 tiles, I have to pay an additional 1, 4, 3, 5, 6, and 6, 10, though that's quite unlikely. At the moment I only have 4 tiles, so I'm going to choose to place 2 tiles, which will cost me none. So I'm going to play 1 red and 1 yellow on my building site. So I've now started construction on a red tower and a yellow tower. Phase 4 of the turn is to tear down any abandoned construction. If you'll notice, this little circle is purple compared to grey on the other stages. The purples are phases you must do every turn. The greys are things that may or may not happen. So, the abandoned construction. If I have a tower that I haven't built on this turn, it's considered abandoned and I have to lose tiles from it. At the moment, this doesn't matter, so we'll come back to that later. The fifth phase is to check and see if I've completed any buildings. Well, with one tile on each, I haven't yet. Then phase 6 is to check that I have 10 tiles or less in my storage and 5 cards or less in my hand. At the moment I have 1 card in hand, 2 tiles in storage, so I'm fine and play moves on to the next player. Now, not all cards are good cards. This botch here that must be played instantly means you have to choose a tower from your construction site and take a brick off it and put it back in the pouch. So this is going to be here for a while. I don't want it at the moment, so I'm going to put 1 brick on it and take the Saboteur, which is another mean card. So I take that, I take my tiles, pop them into my storage, move everything down, reveal the next card, restock the tiles. So now we go to my build phase again. Now I got all these nice tiles off my card, but I still don't have red. So what I'm going to choose to do this turn is build 2 white and 1 yellow. So I'm placing 3 tiles, which will cost me 1. So this blue is going to go back into the pouch. This is where the teardown is now going to occur. I didn't build on this red tower, so it's considered abandoned. To tear it down, I need to remove half the tiles rounded up from it. In this case, I only have 1, so it's going to go. However, if I had a stack of, say, 1, 2, oh dear, 3, if I had a stack of 4 and I couldn't build on it, I'd lose 2. If I had a stack of 3 and I couldn't build, again, I'd lose 2. So it's very important to keep an eye on the tiles coming up to work out if you can use your cards or the trading action to get the colour tiles you need. So I let the red go. I've now got 2 white and 2 yellow. They're still pretty small, so I'm going to move on to the next round and keep my cards for now. Going into the next round, I only have 1 tile in my storehouse, so my choices are fairly limited. So let's have a look. This botch here, although it has a negative effect, it's starting to look really tasty because it's got 3, 4, 5, 7 tiles on it. So I think in this case, I'm going to take it because I get all of these goodies. So these go into my storehouse, but immediately I have to discard 1 from one of my towers. Now in that pile, I got quite a few white tiles. So, oops, I'm going to take a red and discard that. And now I can place. So I'm going to build, I'm actually going to take advantage and build all these whites. So again, I'm going to build 3 tiles, which cost me 1. I haven't had much luck with red, so I'm going to get rid of that. And now I have a tile of 4. Now this is enough to get me some points on the board. So let's have a look at the rest of the board. So I've got to move these up at the end of my turn. Let's do that. So I have 4 white tiles, which means I can place on the white building here. The numbers on the side indicate the number of tiles needed. So if I build 4 whites, it's going to get me 3 points. So let's do that. I'm going to pop one of my seals on here, gain 3 points, and discard my tower of 4 white back into the bag. Give it a good shake up, obviously, apart from the fact it's a very satisfying sound. So, again, I built on my yellow, so I don't need to tear it down, that's fine. 4 tiles in my storage, 2 cards in hand. I'm good. So, let's go back to these towers on the board. Obviously, there are 6 towers referring to the 6 coloured tiles available. White, yellow, green, red, blue, purple. You can get points for building something as small as 3 tiles. However, obviously, the points go up as you go higher up the towers. There are also bonuses for being the first player to build a tower with 5 tiles, 6, 7 and 8. So if I'd built a 5 tower, I gain 1 bonus point and flip it over. These are a one-off to the first player only. So these other balcony tiles here are drawn randomly at the start of the game. They must be completed in number order. So the first one would be the green 5. As you can see, instead of the 4 points you'd normally get, you'll get 7 points. So these are worth going for if you can. So in this case it would have to be the green 5 first, then the purple 5 over here, then the green 7 and the yellow 8, which is worth a massive 15 points. Also at the bottom of the towers it shows you the number of tiles available of each of these colours. So if you're the sort of person that can remember this stuff, it's brilliant. I can't, so, but that is there to give you an indicator of how many tiles of each colour are likely to be left in the bag. Now let's have a look at some of these other cards. Again, we have more people cards here, as I discussed earlier. A storehouse fire. Now this is another pretty mean card. The storehouse fire means that all players must take 3 tiles from their storehouse and pop them back in the bag. Now, you really need to keep an eye on these disaster cards because the tiles can stack up pretty quickly on them, which means if you choose the right time to take them, you can really benefit from them. Here, we've actually got a building card. Now, buildings work in a slightly different way. If I were to have all these tiles, 5 tiles to buy this card, let's pretend I did. I'd take the tiles as before, take the building, and it will go in front of me. Now the workshop here means that you can build at a reduced cost. So previously, when I was placing 3 tiles, it was costing me 1. If I had the workshop in play, it would cost me none. You can only have 1 building of each type, but there are quite a few buildings in this game that are all handy. Plus, of course, it's not clogging up your hand with this 5 card limit that you're allowed. Obviously, the focus of this game is very much on the cards that are available and the tiles on them. There are 27 different types of card, so I'm not going to explain them all to you. However, there's this very handy cheat sheet that comes with the game that explains them all. Once you've played this a couple of times, a lot of them make sense because of the iconography, so you won't need this every single time you play. I've spoken about the people card, the building card, the immediate action cards. The 2 other types of game cards are end of game points. Now here, this is pretty obvious. Fame gives you 3 points at the end of the game. However, you have to keep this in your hand. So bear in mind that hand limit of 5, this is going to be taking up one of those slots. This isn't a nice game, this is a mean game. So, as well as end game victory points, there's also end game minus points. So, in the same way that fame will give you 3 points at the end of the game, a scandal will give you -3 at the end of the game. There are ways to get rid of these over the course of the game using other cards, but beware. The other type of card are the church cards with the little cross at the top here. Now, you'll notice on the board there are 2 spots for church cards. When a player takes one of these, it goes up here and it affects everyone. So, in this case, the privilege card is the first player to build a tower of 6 will get an extra 3 points. Once someone's built a tower of 6 and got those 3 points, that card is discarded from the board, making room for 2 more church cards if they come up and if people take them. Depending on the number of players will depend on the number of these seals that you have to place on the board on the towers. So say I built a 6 red, green 3, 7 white, etc. The game end is triggered when one player uses up all of their seals. They then take the 5-point bonus tile, and all the other players get 1 more turn. Then we go to endgame scoring. You'll get a lot of your points over the course of the game, either from these, the balconies, or just from building towers. However, you see these little flags up the top? These represent an area control majority point bonus. So let's just sneak some black scrolls in on some of these to give you, oh look, I've got a blue one as well, that's exciting. So here both red and black have 2 scrolls each on this tower. However, the red player, because they're obviously best, is at the top, so they would receive the 2-point majority for the white tower. On the green tower, blue has 2 compared to red's 1, so they'd receive 3 points. So work along and score each of the towers. There's the 5-point bonus for the person that finished the game, and then any end game cards in hand. So going back to my fame and scandal earlier, if I had both of those cards in hand, it would be 0, which is a bit rubbish. Total up all the points and the player with the most is the winner. When you explain the rules of this game like that, it seems deceptively simple. The problem comes with these bad news cards. I think that's what I'm going to call them officially from now on. The bad news cards will sit and gather up more and more tiles until you finally go, oh, I'm going to have to take the bad because the stuff on it is so good. There's also the fact that you very much need to keep an eye on what your opponents are doing. If I'm trying to go for a specific tower, I need to make sure that no one else is going to get that tower before me. And I may only have a couple on my yellow tower, but my opponent, you know, can put anything up to 6 tiles of yellow down in a turn and steal points away from me. So although the player interaction is kind of limited to the bad news cards, you have to be aware of what is going on around you or you're going to really suffer. Once you know what you're doing with this game, it can play pretty quickly. I think our 2-player games probably last about 30-45 minutes. Obviously with higher player counts that's more, and if people are learning the game it's more, but it's a deceptive little game. Quick and easy to learn, quite hard to win. Check it out, Firenze from Quined Games. It was printed, I think quite a few years ago now, but I think it's still around. So check it out. Hope you like this video. If you did, click like, subscribe and all that jazz. Come and say hello to me on the socials. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All the links are below. Thanks for watching. Bye.